Welcome to another in the series, Sip and Chat, a place where we talk about the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. It's our pleasure this afternoon to be coming into your homes and to be talking about the goodness of the Lord. Welcome to another in the series, Sip and Chat, a place where we dive into matters that we know that while we're discussing these issues, on completion or before the end, you will be a better person. And the hurdles that are before you that you felt were so unsurmountable, you will be able to overcome them. Last week, we began a series where we began talking about the whole matter of commitment. And our first area of commitment was emotional wellness. And we felt that was important because we have come to appreciate, especially post pandemic and COVID, that a lot of persons are suffering from emotional ill health. And if your mind is not at the right place, you're not able to effectively meet what's coming to you towards you. And so today we want to kind of discuss a little bit about that, but we also want to look a lot more on personal commitment. And I have with me today my able co-host, Miss Annmarie Bishop, mediator and legal counsel, who is with me today. Also, I want to say congratulations, I guess, are in order. Who is now the president of the Kiwanis Club over there in St. Anne. It is, I know you have a lot of divisions. So
I'm the president of the Kiwanis Club of the Garden Parish, which is in St. Anne.
great. And so we're going to be shedding some light today on this whole matter of commitment, personal commitment, and why is that so important. So welcome, legal counsel.
Thank you, Dr. Leleith Tomlinson. Thanks for having me. And Happy New Year to your viewers and Happy New Year to you and your family.
Thank you so very much. All the best to you and your family as well. And we're seeing some great news coming out of aviation school with your son. So
Yes.
again, congratulations are in order.
Thank you.
We just pray that God continue to bless all the kids because they have their own challenges as well.
And that is so true.
And so a lot of times, even though we condemn the youths of today, one of the things that we have to commit to as individuals is how personally we can put ourselves in a space where we're better able to understand them and provide more care for them. So last, one of the things that we established very early is that commitment is a dedication to a cause or to a person or to something that you hold very dear. So, for example, whether it be like an academic pursuit, professional pursuit, financial pursuit, health pursuit, and before we came in the chat, we had
relationship pursuit,
and we also had a healthy laugh as it relates to the fact that you're committing to lose how much pounds?
20 pounds by me.
So everywhere people making commitments, no matter who you are, you try to make those commitments. And a lot of persons might say, oh, I don't make New Year's resolution. But technically you do, because it might not be a New Year's resolution, but you make some form of commitment to yourself. And the reason why I think that is so important, Ms. Bishop, is because I think part of making a commitment is part of stretching yourself. What do you think about that? So tell us about your own concept of what commitment is and how it relates to that.
My concept of commitment is you're making a decision to pursue your personal goals and following through with those commitments. I do not make New Year's resolution. If I want to change something, I get up and change it. I make a decision to do it at any time during the course of the year.
Right.
So one of my ongoing commitments is to be a better parent to my 5 children. And I'm always looking at how I can improve my parenting skills and support them so that they can be better, help them to grow and be better at realize their full potential and to be better adults and better citizens and contribute to society. So I get them involved in many activities, both Kiwanis and in Rotary. Other commitments, my own academic pursuits, and business commitments in terms of how do I improve my business as an attorney, and commitments to the civic groups I'm involved in. What can I do different? I'm already planning events for Child's Month, which is May. Last year we did Read Across Jamaica in Portmore. So I'm always thinking ahead of how can I give back to my community.
So there are two things that I want to pick up on from what you said just now. If I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying that for you, commitment is not necessarily a special time. At any moment when you do a reassessment of where you are and where you'd ideally like to be, you pause and then say, this is what. And I think that is so
I
important
do.
to
I
our
do.
viewers because a lot of persons, I think they have to wait until, oh, it's New Year or when I get married or something. But I think every now and then we can do some self introspection
That
and we
is
can see
correct.
where exactly are we, whether it be personal, professional, financial, and just make a goal.
I do a personal SWOT every now and again. I look at my strengths.
So I want for our viewers, for right,
All
tell
right, so
our
I look at my strengths, and my weaknesses, the opportunities, and my threats.
right.
Within myself as a person, I also do it from a business perspective.
Mhm.
So I review the criticisms of my client and see how I can better serve them.
Mhm.
I look at the criticism of my children and see how I can improve on what I'm doing or what I'm failing to do. How can I do it better? So
Mhm.
I do my own personal SWOT analysis. We have to introspect and evaluate
Mhm.
and go back to the drawing board and create our own strategies for moving forward and get the help that we need. Because sometimes we need the support.
Right.
Sometimes we cannot do it alone, and you don't have to do it alone. You're my good friend, and when I need to discuss something, I can call on you, and I have other friends that I can call on.
Mhm.
So we are not alone. And as you, Dr. Leleith, spoke about our mental wellness last week, no woman or no man is an island, and it's important to engage your friends and family
Mhm.
as you make your own commitments in moving forward because they can be integral to you achieving those commitments.
Mhm. I think that's so important. It was yesterday I was doing a presentation as well, and we're talking about, it's back to school, and so I was in that sphere speaking to some potential students as they were starting a new program, and encourage them all to be committed. And but the most important thing that I wanted to get at in that discussion was how you don't have to go through it alone. And there was this gentleman, I don't remember his name right now, but he said he actually took 16 years to complete his first degree.
But he was committed,
But he
so
was
the
committed.
time doesn't matter sometimes.
Right. But what was interesting was that he took 2 years to do his bachelor's, to do his master's.
Masters.
And what he said is that because of pride and his ego, when he was going through, he would not reach out for help. And so I want to say to our persons who are watching today that on your path to success, it is not an abomination. It is not, you're not weak. If you reach out as you are committed to your goals and say, I need help, you know, um, sometimes you might have an idea, you feel, oh, wow, I need to have 100,000 to do that. Say you want to commit to starting a business. In your mind, based on your knowledge, you might be thinking that in order for me to do this, I need this amount of money. But maybe if I share that thought with someone, they will say, well, actually, you only need half of that. And that can be sourced in this particular area. So, Annmarie, talk to us about how important it is not to believe that, boy, we have to get this right at once. And if we don't get it right, the walls come tumbling down. And if you have an experience, feel free to share.
You're using your example about starting a business. There are times when you may fail, but you don't have to do it alone because partnership can help you with your various commitments.
Mm-hmm.
As you said, sharing a business idea with another person, you may find that that person shares similar ideas and you can partner with that person.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same concept with parenting. It's a partnership between you, the parent, the school, and your child.
Mm-hmm.
So you discuss. Most of us would have perhaps experienced parent consultation,
Mm-hmm.
and you would find out the strengths and weaknesses of your child, but it's a partnership to help your child to move forward in the weak areas and to strengthen them in the strong areas. My personal experience, I graduated from St. Jude's High School with 4 CXCs.
Mm-hmm.
What I wanted to do, that's not what God wanted me to do, because my whole thing was to be a scientist, an oceanographer. I love the ocean. And when St. Jude's told me that I couldn't get certain subjects along my path, I went to Excelsior Community College, my dad, and I went for the results, and then we went to Excelsior to get in for A levels. I'm not even going to mention my A level grades. They're not the best, right? But outside of that, when you have strong parents and
Right.
persons that believe in you and you also believe in yourself,
Correct.
You can push yourself forward. So years later, I have multiple qualifications.
Mm-hmm.
I wear multiple hats, but most of all, I'm you want to walk in your purpose that God has for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of your commitment as well. I strongly believe that we should allow God to direct our path and be our fortress and our shelter.
Mm-hmm.
And once you know what God's purpose is for you,
Mm-hmm.
it makes the journey easier even when
Right.
you're struggling. Because I believe I'm called to be an attorney,
Right.
but I also believe that some of the academic pursuit that I've engaged in and qualified for, it's not so much for my benefit, but to help others. And I'm
Right,
okay
right.
with that.
Mm-hmm. That's so important that we understand that, and we spoke about that as well. That sometimes we might have some plans to our lives, and they do not seem to be blossoming right at our pace, and we get frustrated. But we have to stay to the course. We
Stay the
have to.
course. Yes.
I know. I always say this is not a real word, but I actually like it. It's stick to itiveness. We have to stick to the plan.
True.
And my little acronym for focus is fixed on course until successful. I like to
Repeat that, please, because that is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah,
You need to send it to me on WhatsApp so I can share it with my children.
I was actually just doing something like when I'm preaching, right? So I like to leave the audience with something that they can go over and think about and focus. And I remember the first time I was talking about focus, and I sat down and said, what would I acronize in order to make a point?
Yes.
This word, and it's fixed on course until successful. And I think the until is key.
Yes. And there will be challenges, Dr. Leleith. The reality, there will be challenges, there will be distractions from your friends, your family, your spouse. You need to believe in yourself and what you're doing and what you're about. Do not let the public define you and what your capabilities are, because once you start accepting the negative comments from others, it can throw you off your game.
Right.
So remain focused, believe in yourself, and know what you want and go for it. You may come across a roadblock, but don't focus on the roadblock. Look for the side roads, because life is about challenges. Not every path is straight. Sometimes you have to do a detour, so to speak. And it's the same thing with our level of commitment and what we want to achieve.
So what I found out in the research is that there are actually 5 levels of commitment, and we can talk a little bit about them. There is self-awareness, because you must know what you're committing to.
That is true. Know what you want. Don't commit for other persons to please somebody else.
Right. And you must know the expanse of this commitment, right?
That is correct.
So if we're going to try to lose weight, right? And I'm in a group, what is the plan to lose this 20 pounds in 3 weeks? So I don't want to frustrate myself, because if it is just to drink vegetable soup, I need to back out very early. You understand? So because you might say, I know my body, and I know that my body will go in shock.
And be realistic about your commitment.
So first thing, when you're going to make a commitment, you have to be self-aware. We will say that some persons, they say that they will not get married, right? Because they don't believe that they have the commitment, that type of commitment, right? And that is something that they need to bring, to the Lord. But first of all, and allow Him to deal with them. But we have to be honest with ourselves first and be aware of what is our weakness. I remember when I was much younger, I'm always in these diet programs and supporting other people sometimes as well. But I remember that one day we were all in a group, right? And we're helping somebody. And there was this girl, and we saw her coming from the store. So we had all had probably like some vegetables, salad, or whatever it was. And then she was missing from the office for a little while. And then we saw her coming from the store. And it was like, why did she go to the store? Because we're not supposed to go to the store, because the store is a distraction. And that's also part of maintaining personal goals as well. We have to be careful what are the distractors that would take us off course. So, me already. So I met her halfway, and I was like, oh, you went to the store? What did you get? And she said, And she had her hands held tight, and I managed to, pierce open her hands. There was a catch. The red chocolate bar. Right. And she said, you know what? I really can't do this, because she just felt that whenever she had the salad, she wasn't full. And so, although we caught her at that time, she was doing this always doing this. So what am I saying? I'm saying whatever it is that you're committing to, make sure that you're aware of your own self challenges.
Yes.
And that doesn't say, this is important. That doesn't say if initially you think you can't do this, that you shouldn't, because sometimes what we need is a little push
And yes, challenge yourself.
Right. And we need somebody to tell us that we can do it. You can do it, man. You know? I mean, instead of always going to buy 5 shoes and 6 shoes, if you want to save the $100,000, maybe
one less.
one less.
You remember the BNS ad? One less?
Yeah, I think it was Scotia.
Yeah,
Not
Bank of
Scotia,
Nova Scotia.
VM. I think VM had one too.
Okay.
Right. VM had one too.
Less.
Right?
But in the self-awareness aspect of commitment, it's important to surround yourself with positive role models, positive mentors, and you will get there.
Right.
That's important in that stage.
So, and then the other thing is that you must have a willingness to change. Something must rattle you so much that you know, say, listen, man, I'm not even looking back. I'm going forward. It's like a commitment to salvation. When you think, but when you, this little song
Which
says,
is a very...
when I look back over my life,
yes,
and I think things over where God has brought me from and where I could have been, right? So commitment is a willingness to change and say, yeah, you know, yeah, it might look appealing, it might look appetizing, yeah, the ice cream looks good, or it's nice to go with my friends, or it's nice, but as for me, like Joshua said, as for me and my house, commitment, yes, we will serve the Lord, right? So what we're saying is that utterances are easy. It is that willingness to change and conform.
And the action thereafter is important.
That is going to be critical.
Yes.
The other one is intense focus.
Wow, and that's a big one because it's not easy to be focused, and not just focused, but to be focused intensely. Because you have to know your own distractors and make decisions to perhaps even lose some of the friends that you have who are not positive.
Right.
And come out of some groups that are not positive. And avoid certain environments in order to focus on your goals, whatever the commitments are that you have made in this year.
Great. And so you have to be focused, and you have to have what we call a persistency as well. In other words, you have to have a resilience that says, okay, if I fall, I'm not going to die here. I'm going to get up. I'm going to brush off myself, and I'm going to go. You see, winners are not persons who are without evidence of defeat or evidence of challenges,
yes,
right?
That's true.
The scars that you see on people are stories of how they got there. We look at a lot of boxers and we say, wow, or they might have a cut here, a bruise here, whatever. But these are the scars that says to them, you deserve this, because when you got this bruise or this cut or whatever, you didn't just give up, but you made it over the line.
True.
Right?
That's
so commitment is key. I remember watching a race. There's this popular race where this man had fallen in the race, but he got back up. And he ran to the finish and he got a medal. All right. So sometimes you'll have things that trip you off course, but you focus, you get back on course, focus, fixed on course until successful. So even if you're on the track and you get off, we're saying get back on. And I really want to push this in that one of the things, the reason why people don't want to commit is fear.
Well, we know that fear, as a psychologist, you know that fear cripples a lot of our own goals and our desire and intention to complete because of fear. We doubt ourselves. And in those moments, you want to dig deep inside yourself and remember who you are. You are a child of God. You know, remember the struggles of maybe your parents and the struggles of your own path, where you're coming from and where they look ahead and as to where you want to, where you see yourself in 6 months or a year, and just trust and believe that we can do all things through God who strengthens us.
Yes,
don't give up on yourself.
Verse 13,
you know?
Right. But what I recognize is that there are 3 types of fear, right? There are rational fear. The first one is rational fear. And that is a rational fear where there's a real fear for it, right? So there might be a real fear for water, right? Hydrophobia, or people are afraid of heights, or arachnophobia, which is the fear of like ants and insects and so on. So people do have real fear, right? So sometimes when we are committing, there might be a real fear, like, you know, like a relationship or so. What if this doesn't happen? Salvation, to people always say, boy, what if I'm going to turn back, because they know who they were, right? True. But then that's where you need the person to say to you, say, it's not by your will, but his grace is sufficient to keep you. And that's where they need the reassurance from someone and so forth. And then you have primal fear is an innate fear that is programmed in our brains. That does tell us that it would us fearful. The basis is also, it's like our brain tells us that this is something that we should be fearful of. But the one I'm most concerned about is an irrational fear. people don't even venture to the thing and them already fearful.
Like you don't give yourself a chance to know whether you can do it or not.
And that is very important.
That's true.
And that is something that a lot of us need to say, okay, I've never done this before, but why? Yeah, no, I am. Like I tell myself I can't swim because I'm too heavy.
Really? I'll teach you.
I tell myself I can't swim because I'm too heavy. And then I go to the beach or somewhere and I see persons with more body mass than more everything. And they're so that's it.
You know, that it's an irrational fear.
It's an irrational fear, but it's something that is so real to me that I've never done it. I mean, I don't even go to the beach to swim.
You just got to look pretty in your swimsuit.
To look pretty in my swimsuit, or just to read. You know, right? and I mean, being in the water is something that I like, right?
It's not enough. You need to learn to swim, Dr. Leleith.
But more importantly, I'm going to share this with our viewers. I'm not sure if I have, but you know, we're talking about mastering and committing to things. To show you how I had this fear, right? I went into a lazy river at a conference. Everybody was going to Lime. So I went into the lazy river. And my good lawyer, while I was in the lazy river and I had on the tube and everything in the lazy river, and I'm telling you, I know that I must use my hands and I'm paddling. We're talking and we're laughing and everything. And my body got tired because we're going around in this lazy river. And I didn't want to drown. So I was there swimming like.
It's highly unlikely that you will drown being in a tube. Highly unlikely.
No, but this is the big part, talking about irrational fear. I heard a voice said to me, Leleith, stop and stand. Lawyer, when I stood up in the river.
Your body was, part of your body was out of the water, right? Yes.
So what we're saying is that some things that we fear,
unnecessary.
Are unnecessary fear. And sometimes we need to have that dialogue with someone to say, what do you think about, like some people say, I'll never speak in front of nobody because I can't public speak, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. And you'll be amazed at what comes forth when they have the support and they present themselves.
And not just that, the more you practice certain things, the better you become at it.
Right.
So even with public speaking, I know a lot of persons shy away from it, and I get nervous every time I do public speaking.
And yet somebody
and I've
would
been
still
in practice
say,
for over 20 years.
And when they hear you, they would say, boy, you're so good at it. But that's the thing. We need to say to people that, listen, even if you feel a little nerves, butterflies in the stomach or whatever, it's natural.
That's true.
You know? So we want to say to everyone who is watching us today, right? Nothing is wrong with committing, right? As we say, align yourself with strategic persons who can see you beyond your today. That's critical as well.
That's true.
Let them see you beyond your today and let them speak into your spirit and into your life and boost you. I tell people all the time, you know, you need some Red Bull friends, not to drink, but the Red Bull commercial says it gives you wings that you can fly. You have some friends that are like deflators.
That's true.
Everything that you say, they just insert a pin
something negative
and deflate you.
Yes.
But you have some people, man, when you hear what they say about you, you yourself go home and say, oh my God, am I really this person? But that gives you fuel. It gives you momentum. And going into 2020, 2023, we're saying to people, listen, commit to something. Is it going back to school? Personal goals we're talking about today. Is it something with your own health? Is it about engaging in social civic activity like you are? Whatever those personal goals are, rise up today with confidence, knowing who you are. You are a child of purpose. Get up and go for it. What are some of the final words you want to say?
Final words, Dr. Leleith. Whatever you would decide to commit to in 2023, write it down. Whether you want to write it down pen to paper or use your smartphone, write it down. Set timelines on whatever your goals are. So if it's a case that you want to go back to school to do a course and you go on, don't just talk about it. Actually do the research. So for example, say you want to learn cake making and decorating, and those courses are offered by our trust. So you would go online on their website, research it, find out when the next course will be, and register. So commitment requires action, not just words. It requires action. It requires having positive individuals around you. It requires maybe losing some of the negative friends that you had in 2022.
Right.
Deleting some of the groups or deleting yourself from some of the groups that you're in, because negative energy only drains you.
Right.
And it affects your path, it affects your level of achievement and the pace at which you achieve. In whatever you do in your personal, for your own personal development, for those of us who are parents, bear in mind that you should not exclude your children, because they can be motivators for you as
and
you
they can
tread
help you
that
keep on
path.
track.
And they can help you keep on track. And when you set example for your children, that motivates them as well, because they may say, oh, mommy is in her 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever age, and she's trying and learning a new skill.
Right.
And that's important. So be focused and remember the 5 areas of commitment that Dr. Leleith spoke about. And remember the acronym, which she'll share with you in a minute again, because I love it. And just bear in mind that whatever you do, pray about it and seek God's direction. And remember that we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. And we're able. Fear is a plan of the enemy. And we don't have to absorb it in our spirit at all. We serve a God who is able, mighty, and awesome. So when you're in the valley, don't worry about it. Look to the mountain and God will take you there.
Excellent, excellent. People often fail to commit to make long-lasting changes because they don't commit to one path long enough to see results. M.K. Muller. And that is so important. Commit to the long haul.
Yes.
Success is not always upfront. Sometimes you have to go the extra mile. It's not on the first leg or the second leg. Sometimes it's in the third leg of the relay or the fourth leg. But as long as you stay on track, focus, fixed on course until successful. Hashtag Dr. Tomlinson. I want to say thank you so very much. I'm really, really proud of you. Again, congratulations.
Thank you.
So even in our discussion, you talk so much about your parenting. I'm going to bring you back because you're a single parent.
Yes.
And you have 5 children. But in all that you do, lawyer, counsel, mediator, so many different things, you always try to make sure that there is inclusivity of the kids and that they understand that mommy's working very hard, but you are important, because at the end of the day, you have to understand that no matter how much you have, you want your kids to be happy. So I really must commend you for that.
Thank you.
It is always a pleasure to have you here on Sip and Chat.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing. Let us drink. Yeah, we're committing to drinking healthy this year.
Definitely. 8 bottles of water per day.
Yeah, I get my water chart as well.
I must say my red wine. I'm not leaving it out. And my coffee. I'm being true to myself.
Okay. All right. So we want to say thank you so very much for joining us here on Sip and Chat. It was our pleasure to have you. And so next time we're going to look at some financial commitments and how you can help yourself, because a lot of people think that, boy, if I don't have a lot of money, I can't make it. But as my grandmother said, one cocoa,
full basket.
Full basket. Until next time, we'll see you as we continue to sip and chat.
Thank you, Dr.
Yes.
Leleith.
All right.